I stood in the back of the packed press room, my fingers digging into my palms as Victor Krane, CEO of NeoTech Industries, addressed the media. "The breach in our quantum encryption project was a devastating setback," he said, voice dripping with false sympathy. "But let me be clear, this was not NeoTech's failure. Our lead programmer, Daniel Hayes, ignored protocol and attempted an unauthorized system override. His actions triggered the security collapse." My stomach twisted. Lies. Danny was the most careful person I knew. If the system failed, it was because NeoTech rushed it, not because of him. I stepped forward, my voice cutting through the murmurs. "Danny didn't make a mistake. You did," he told me. "Your servers weren't ready, but you forced the launch anyway." Crane's eyes flicked to me, cold and dismissive. "We have the data, Mr. Hayes. Your brother's recklessness cost us millions." Before I could argue, security moved in, shoving me back. But I wasn't giving up, because Danny didn't just disappear after that system crash. He was erased, and I was going to find out why. 6 months ago, Danny landed his dream job at NeoTech, working on Project Aegis, the world's first unhackable AI firewall. But then the late-night calls started. "They're cutting corners, Liam," he'd whisper, exhausted. "The system's unstable. If we go live like this, it'll collapse." I told him to walk away, but Danny never backed down. Then, the night before the launch, he texted me, "If anything happens to me, look for the black drive, hidden in my chess set." The next morning, NeoTech announced a catastrophic system failure. And Danny? Gone. No body, no evidence, just Crane's lies. Now, with Danny's encrypted drive in my hands, I had one lead. Dr. Elena Voss, the only NeoTech scientist who hadn't vanished, and she was scared. "They're watching me," she hissed when I found her in a dimly lit diner. "Project Aegis wasn't just a firewall, it was a weapon, and Danny found out." "A weapon?" She slid a photo across the table, a blueprint labeled Neural Override Protocol. They were building a back door, a way to control every connected system on the planet. My blood ran cold. Danny didn't fail. He was silenced. And I was next. The encrypted drive felt like a live wire in my pocket as I stepped out of the diner. The neon sign above me flickered, casting jagged shadows across the wet pavement. Elena's last words still rang in my ears. "They're watching me. They'll come for you next." I pulled my hood up and melted into the late-night crowd, every passing face a potential threat. My apartment was 6 blocks away, too far. I needed somewhere secure to examine Danny's files. The old arcade. It had been our spot since we were kids. The owner, Gus, still kept a back room for special customers, mostly gamblers and hackers. The kind of people who didn't ask questions. The place smelled like stale pizza and burnt circuitry. Gus barely glanced up from his vintage Pac-Man machine as I slipped past the counter. "Rooms occupied," he grunted. "I'll wait." He sighed, recognizing me. "Your brother's tab's still open." That stung. Danny had been here before he vanished. The back room was a claustrophobic cube lined with outdated monitors. A kid in a Shadowrun t-shirt was elbow deep in a server rack. He took one look at my face and bolted. Good. Privacy. I yanked out the drive, a sleek black rectangle no bigger than a thumbnail. Danny had hidden it inside the weighted base of his favorite chess piece. Classic tradecraft. He'd taught me that trick when we were 12, after Mom died and paranoia became our second language. The ancient desktop wheezed to life. I plugged in the drive. Access denied. Of course, Danny wouldn't make it easy. I tried his standard passwords, our childhood dog's name, Mom's birthday, the coordinates to our old treehouse. Nothing. Then I noticed the file names, rook.execnite.dll, queen.zip chess metaphors. Danny's mind worked in patterns. I typed, Sicilian defense access granted. The screen exploded with fragmented data, code snippets, security logs, and one video file labeled checkmate.avi. My finger hovered over the play button. Some part of me already knew I didn't want to see this. I clicked anyway. Danny's face filled the screen, his hazel eyes bloodshot under the blue glare of his workstation. The timestamp showed 2:17 a.m., 3 hours before the accident. "Liam, if you're seeing this, I'm already gone." His voice was raw, like he'd been screaming. "Project Aegis was never about cybersecurity. It's a Trojan horse. Krane embedded a neural override protocol in every NeoTech device. Phones, smart grids, even pacemakers. One command and he can... A thunderous bang off camera. Danny flinched. Shit, they're early. He lunged for something out of frame. The camera caught a flash of steel, a pistol, before the feed dissolved into static. The last clear audio was Danny's whisper. Find Janus. She's the only one who... Blam. Not static. A gunshot. The video ended. My hands were shaking so badly I knocked over my coffee. The bitter liquid seeped across the desk like blood. 3 sharp knocks at the door. Maintenance, a voice announced. Gas leak inspection. At 3 a.m., I killed the monitor. The room's only exit was the door they were guarding. Then I remembered Gus's other specialty. The floorboard behind the mini-fridge creaked when I pried it up. A tunnel. Smuggler's escape route from the Prohibition era. Danny and I had used it to sneak out past curfew when we were teens. I slid into the darkness just as the door burst open. Clear the building, a new voice ordered. He's got the drive. Cramped and spider-webbed, the tunnel smelled of mildew and rat piss. My phone's dying light showed crude arrows scratched into the brick. Danny's handiwork from our urban exploration phase. 20 feet down, the tunnel branched. Left led to the sewer. Right went to... A gun cocked behind me. Don't move. I turned slowly. The maintenance man stood silhouetted in the tunnel mouth, his pistol aimed at my chest. Up close, his coveralls were too crisp, his boots too tactical. Hand over the drive, he said, and I'll make it quick. My back hit the wall, nowhere to run. Then the lights went out. Literally. Every bulb in the tunnel blew simultaneously. In the pitch black, 3 things happened in rapid succession. A thwip, suppressed gunshot. A wet thud as the maintenance man collapsed. A cool female voice in my ear. Keep following the arrows, Liam, and don't look back. I ran. The right fork dumped me out in an alley behind a boarded-up bakery. My phone buzzed. An encrypted message from an unknown number. Janus says hello. Burn your clothes, they're tagged. Attached was an address across town and a single word. Midnight. I stared at the screen until my vision blurred. Danny had left me a trail of breadcrumbs. And at the end of it, either the truth or a bullet. Key details revealed. Project Aegis's true purpose. Neural override capability in all NeoTech devices. Danny's last moments, captured on video, proof of foul play. The mysterious Janus, a potential ally or new threat. NeoTech's reach. They've already infiltrated Liam's apartment. Next part teaser, who is Janus? Spoiler, she's not what she seems. The midnight meeting. A high-stakes exchange with a traitor inside NeoTech, Krane's endgame. Why Dubai is critical to his plan. I was shocking to know Elena was dead. I found her car wrapped around a lamppost, airbags smeared with blood. Accident, the news said. I wasn't buying it. Her last text led me to a derelict data center on the city's edge. Inside, a single server hummed. The original Aegis testbed. Danny's final gift. I jacked in the drive. The screen flickered to life, revealing a chat log between Krane and someone codenamed Janus. Krane. Hayes knows too much. Clean it up. Janus. Asset terminated, false flag in place. Then a second thread. Janus messaging Danny. They're lying to us. Meet me at grid E17. Bring proof. My pulse spiked. Janus was a double agent. The server beeped. A map flashed. Coordinates to a private airstrip. Krane's jet was scheduled to depart tonight. Destination, Dubai. No extradition. I had 2 choices. Walk away, hijack the biggest data breach in history. I grabbed Danny's old hacker gear. Game on. The airstrip lights cut through the midnight fog like surgical lasers. From my perch atop the abandoned control tower, I counted 12 guards. 4 patrolling the perimeter, 6 flanking the private jet, and 2 snipers on the roof. All armed with NeoTech's latest smart rifles. Janus's cybernetic eye glowed faintly as she tapped her wrist display. A holographic schematic of the airfield materialized between us, flashing red at the weak points. Krane's uploading Aegis to his private server during the flight, she said, voice tight. Once he's airborne, the kill switch goes global. We've got 8 minutes before wheels up. I adjusted the neural jack she'd given me. a sleek silver implant that prickled at my temple. And this will stop it? It's Danny's counter-virus. Libertas. Her fingers flew across a holographic keyboard only she could see. But we need physical access to the jet's mainframe, which means storming a fortified aircraft. I finished. My palms were slick with sweat. You got a plan or just a death wish? Janus smirked and unzipped her duffel bag. Inside were 2 NeoTech security uniforms, a vial of liquid nitrogen, and, Jesus Christ, an electromagnetic pulse grenade. Step 1, she said, tossing me the uniform. We walk in like we belong, the infiltration. The uniforms had retinal scanners woven into the collars. Janus disabled hers with a flick of her cybernetic fingernail. Mine required actual eyeballs. Hold still? She muttered, pressing a contact lens over my left iris. The world tinted red for a second before the scanner beeped green. Temporary hack, she said. Lasts 9 minutes, so move your ass. We strode toward the hangar like 2 guards returning from patrol. The snipers didn't blink. The perimeter team barely glanced up. Then, hey! Sanchez isn't on the roster tonight. A beefy guard stepped into our path, hand on his sidearm. Janus didn't hesitate. Code Delta Foxtrot, she snapped. Krane moved up the timeline. Check your damn tablet. The guard faltered, reaching for his device. That's when I saw Janus's other hand, the one holding the EMP grenade behind her back. Now, she mouthed. I dropped. The grenade detonated with a soundless burst of blue light. Every electronic device within 50 yards died. Lights, radios, even the smart rifle's targeting systems. The guards screamed as their retinal HUDs short-circuited. Go! Janus yanked me forward. We sprinted past the blinded sentries, liquid nitrogen sloshing in its container. The jet Crane's Gulfstream G700 was a $75 million fortress. The hatch hissed open as we approached. Janus had spoofed the emergency override. Inside, the cabin reeked of leather and fear. Mainframes below the galley, she said, prying up the floor panel. A nest of fiber-optic cables pulsed beneath us, glowing like veins. That's when the cockpit door burst open. I knew you'd come. Victor Krane stood framed in the doorway, tailored suit immaculate, a sleek silver pistol in his hand. Not a standard firearm, a neural disruptor. One shot could fry a brain like an overcooked microchip. Daniel was so stubborn too, Krane sighed. Right up until the end, Janus moved first. Her cybernetic arm whirred as she flung the liquid nitrogen. Krane dodged, but the vial shattered against the cockpit controls. Frost exploded across the instrument panel. You bitch! Krane fired. The neural blast caught Janus in the shoulder. She went rigid, circuits frying, but not before shoving me toward the mainframe. Do it! I jammed the neural jack into the glowing core. The world dissolved into code. The digital battlefield. My consciousness ripped through the Aegis firewall like a bullet. Suddenly, I wasn't Liam Hayes anymore. I was Data, screaming through fiber-optic highways at the speed of thought. Danny's counter-virus unfolded around me, a shimmering labyrinth of encryption. But Aegis was already evolving, its defense algorithms morphing into razor-edged firewalls. Warning, neural override initiated. Crane's voice boomed through the void. You lose! The system attacked. Agony like I'd never known. A million needles stabbing my synapses. Somewhere in the real world, my physical body was seizing, blood trickling from my nose. Then, a hand grasped mine in the darkness. Little brother always needed saving. Danny. Not a ghost, a backup. He'd encoded his consciousness into Libertas. Together, we tore through Aegis's defenses. Danny's digital form flickered as he sacrificed chunks of himself to disable the kill switches. The evidence, he urged. Send it now. I unleashed everything. Crane's blackmail files, the assassination orders, the neural override schematics. The data tsunami crashed into every news outlet, government server, and social platform on Earth. Checkmate. The aftermath. I woke up choking on smoke. The jet's cabin was burning. Krane screaming as federal agents dragged him away. Janus lay motionless near the shattered window, her cybernetic eye dark. But the world was screaming too. Every screen from Times Square to Tokyo blared the truth. NeoTech's global kill switch exposed Krane, arrested after failed escape. Whistleblower Daniel Hayes posthumously cleared. Epilogue. 2 months later, the chess piece arrived in a plain brown box. No postmark, no note, just a black king with a tiny chip embedded in its crown. When I plugged it in, a single audio file played. "Game's not over, little brother." Danny's voice. And then, fainter. Janus whispering, "We'll be in touch." Outside my window, a neon sign flickered. For the first time in months, I smiled. Some ghosts don't stay buried. And some games? They're just getting started.